Yo, welcome back to Assassin's Creed, the series that was ruined by bad people and sexual assault.
Yep, and I'm back as well. And I believe it has been roughly 2 months since we did the last video. I think we did it sometime in August. And we've just been sidetracked by so many things.
Yeah, I work 5 days a week now, and then whenever I'm not working, I'm just doing other shit.
Yeah, I work 5 days a week pretty much, and I'm also doing a part-time job on the weekends. That's actually a casual position, so at least I'm able to work no more than 27 hours a week for that particular part-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the my full-time job, it demands I work quite a lot of hours, like 8 hours per day.
Yeah. I work in a restaurant, and we literally had over 200 orders last night, and it was insane.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah,
Wow, that is crazy. Maybe I should visit you in your workplace when I get the chance.
maybe.
Yeah, that'll be very, very intriguing. But just to resume what's been going on in this video, so we're currently on sequence 4, and I think we're killing multiple Templars in this one. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
this is the longest sequence in the game. That's why the video is like an hour and a half long.
I see. And we're killing Abu Nakud, who's the merchant of Damascus, and who else?
The William Mumford in Akrai, and then Majuddin in Jerusalem.
Yeah. So those are all pretty simple. I mean, I do remember a lot of their interactions. I mean, like the merchant of Damascus was the one that really generated a lot of shock with me when he killed all those people with the wine, like the poison wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe Abu Nakud was actually referenced, or rather, like they did a reimagining of Abu Nakud's sequence and his character in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, when you were trying to kill a certain Templar, or rather,
Yeah.
Order of the Ancient.
Well, like every main order deviation in Valhalla was like trying to recreate AC1 for some reason.
Everyone?
Well,
Uh,
at least like most of them.
I mean, wasn't there like remember like the very first like Order of the Ancient that we killed when we first play as Eivor? I forget what his name is, but I believe he said a quote that you hear in one of the confessions for Assassin's Creed 1.
I
Hmm.
don't remember. It's been too long since I first played Valhalla, and I don't want to go back to it.
Yeah, same with me. Like Assassin's Creed is dead pretty much.
Yeah.
It's been flogging that dead horse for way too long, and there's nothing there to actually like sample.
Literally, the only reason I still follow all the Ubisoft accounts and stuff is just see what stupid things they're doing, just so I can follow on the news.
Yeah, and I guess we should maybe we should retitle these videos to be like two former Assassin's Creed fans play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, because we're not even fans anymore. We're just dumbass people who don't even care.
Yeah, when we're just doing this for the heck of it, because why not? And also because we love the old games. The old games are definitely capture the height of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Everything post AC3 or AC4 is just stupid ass crap.
Hmm. I mean, like, I don't personally hate AC3 that much. I mean, I know you hate it a lot, and I understand why Laser Z hates it. And like his reasonings were definitely justified. Like I can totally understand why characters like Connor Kenway slash Tato Nageton were not done very well because he goes from being a naive child to a naive adult, and they even cut out like very important dialogue that was actually in Assassin's Creed Forsaken, which is a novel that is based around Haytham Kenway. Like they cut out dialogue that Connor says
Yeah.
in
They
Assassin's Creed
cut out the
Forsaken.
only character development.
Yeah. I can totally understand that, but at least like with the homestead missions and the like Connor definitely had like a really great personality,
Yeah.
and you really got to see more of his like humane self.
And I still kind of have some nostalgia for AC3 because it was the first one I ever actually played.
Yeah, because I
So
introduced it to you.
yeah, that was my introduction to the series. So that's why I still have nostalgia for it and don't really hate it as much as everyone else does. But now the entire series is just stupid and I don't care.
Yeah, like Odyssey, like Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla really did away with a lot of the things that made Assassin's Creed what it is, and it's just kind of a joke at this point. Like everything in it is just very superficial. Like I know originally you liked Origins. And like I hated Origins, you liked Origins, and there was just kind of this huge argument between us. But I think we eventually found like a middle ground there.
Yeah, like I still don't like completely hate Origins. Like I feel like it's an okay game, but like I would rather go back to like Revelations and than Origins if I had the choice.
Yeah, exactly. And like I would even go back to like AC1 to like AC4 because every other Assassin's Creed game after AC4 is just not very good. And like the series just lost any sense of what it was trying to be after AC4, and it's just like we have this endless war with the Assassins and Templars that just goes nowhere, and then they try to introduce other side stories with Juno, for instance, and then Juno is just killed in the comic. And we also have like what's the name of that group that supports Juno in the modern day?
You can use stealth kills to
Some
create a distraction.
order or something. I don't know. There's too many random groups in Assassin's Creed now. I don't even care.
Yeah, pretty much that is like the case, and I believe
I
like
remember what their logo looks like, but I don't remember their name.
yeah, it was like I don't care about that, but as Laser Z properly described in his in his three-part video series for Assassin's Creed Valhalla before the game released, when he's talking about the modern day and how it will never really capture the feeling of the original games, he said there are too many comics, too much fluff basically to really like make the modern day a very cohesive story. And I never quite understand why game developers try to they try to stretch their narrative into other forms of media, but it's just a lot of that is just kind of unnecessary because they already touch upon this in the later main games. It's really puzzling in that aspect.
It's kind of like what they're doing with the Uncharted movie right now, which is like they're clearly trying to like recapture like all the set pieces from all the games and stuff, but like it's also like its own like story for some reason.
Yeah, and I don't really get that at all. And
Like
was there some confirmation that the movie's canon to the storyline?
pretty sure it's supposed to be a prequel to all the games, but like the trailer literally just showed like all the famous set pieces from all four of the main games.
Yeah, and then like Nate's introduction to Sully is so different to how it's portrayed in Uncharted 3, and it
And
makes
like
no
if it's
sense.
supposed to be a prequel movie that's supposed to be canon to the games, then why would they show him meeting Sully if we already had that in Uncharted 3?
Yeah, and he met Sully in Cartagena, and he was a teenager at that point, like maybe even less than that. And the movie is just portraying it like he met Sully as a teenager, or like in some other area, which is very very strange.
Yeah. And like somehow they already like know Sam for some reason, which like I guess by the time like Nate met Sully in the games, Sam was already like a thing, but like we didn't know Sam was a thing before Uncharted 4.
Yeah, and I think that's just one of the main problems that I have with Uncharted 4 because like the whole introduction of Sam really brings to light some questions as to whether he was established properly in the previous games. Like, are there any kind of inconsistencies in the previous games that would not really gel with the whole idea of Sam being a thing? And I think that's just the problem that a lot of series have when they're trying to introduce new concepts and new ideas in later media, because then you have to really wonder, like, when like it forces you to put like the older games into a newer perspective. And I think Assassin's Creed is also like a criminal to this kind of system. Like, I don't know the best example to give that could really like describe a very conflicting scenario that you wouldn't be thinking of if it didn't present in like the later Assassin's Creed games. Oh, but you know what? Like, like Odyssey is the greatest example of this. Like, Legacy of the First Blade and just the way it tries to do away with what Origins established, with Bayek actually being the one who actually established the Brotherhood. But then it's like in Odyssey, it's like Darius was already the first assassin, yet his character isn't portrayed as such in other forms of of lore in the earlier games, which is
Yeah.
so
And like
strange.
the ending of the main game was like, oh, Cassandra has been alive for centuries, just like hiding out in the cave, and at some point randomly left to go get modern day clothes, and no one ever noticed or saw or said anything about her, and then she just dies in the cave.
Yeah, can you imagine if that was like Ezio? Like, can you imagine if they brought a character like Ezio and they made made that like the same kind of scene.
Somehow Cassandra was alive throughout the entire Assassin's Creed series, just to die in the cave.
And I'm sorry, guys, but nobody, like, even if you're immortal, nobody has the mental fortitude to go through that many years. That's just physically impossible. And Cassandra feels like the exact same character in the game, yet, like, thousands of years have passed.
Yeah.
So, how can she still be the exact same kind of character like she was in, like, the... whatever period she was in, like, the Peloponnesian War? It's so strange.
And like, if the Order, like, the Cult of Cosmos in Odyssey was supposed to be like Proto-Templars before the Order of Ancients were already Proto-Templars, then why did she not like join the Assassins to like fight the main Templars if they were basically the same group?
Oh, really? Were they meant to be another Proto-Templar?
That's basically what they were supposed to be in the game.
Oh, wow.
The Cult of Cosmos was a Proto-Templar group before the Order of Ancients was already a Proto-Templar group.
And the Cult of Cosmos has...
group for no reason.
Right. But the Order of the Ancients has been around longer than the Cult of Cosmos.
I don't know the lore on that. Ubisoft just made 2 Proto-Templar groups for no reason because they're fucking stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. But you know, given that there's not really like, it's probably gonna be hard for us to describe a lot of things related to Assassin's Creed. But you know, given that this is roughly like an hour and 30-minute long video, we could easily go on to other tangents because I'm sure there are a lot more important things to talk about than Assassin's Creed. Like you know, you've been watching a lot of those Marvel shows, right? Like with Loki and WandaVision and all that stuff. Like let's talk about like Loki and what our thoughts were on the series, because Loki started off very strong, and I think it definitely has a lot of promise to it, and you know, I hope the season 2 will actually be good. But like what were your thoughts on Loki, pretty much?
I feel like the same as you. Like it started strong, but for me, I feel like it just kind of got weaker as it went on.
Yeah,
I didn't like the whole thing that was like, oh, Loki's like gender fluid and bisexual, and then they just mention it once, like in passing, and then never mention it again. Because Disney's freaking homophobic as fuck, and they don't like gay people.
Yeah, but that's just the problem with like Americans in general. I would say it's just like, why did they have to make such a big deal about whether a character is like transgender or like or gay or all this stuff? Like, why did they have to treat it like it is special? Like, why not just like make no kind of remark about it and just go with it? Like, we have this like pre-inclination towards making all these things that aren't so special, and it's like, why? Like, it just seems so bizarre to me.
Because like the people who like actually identify as those things like want like good representation, but then just like saying, oh, this character is this, and then never mentioning it again. That's like, why even mention it at all if you're never gonna mention it again after mentioning it once?
Yeah, but if it's just for simple representation, you're probably going to be doing a lot more damage by just placing characters in there that are just like transgender or gay, and then just advertising like, oh, we just did it just because. Like, because you're doing it like that, then... Yeah, like, do you remember like Star Wars: The Last Jedi and how like, what was her name, like, Rose? Like, apparently she was like the most hated character ever, and she was meant to be like the first Asian character ever in the Star Wars series. And like they just, and you know, like people like they put it in there just because, I guess. I mean, I personally I didn't mind Rose whatsoever. I thought she was a really, like, she wasn't an annoying character. I don't know why people say she is annoying, but you know, I didn't interpret it as such. But I don't know why all these people have to make such a big deal about characters like Rose just because they're a unique exception based on their physical or mental characteristics. It's just
like a weird thing.
Yeah, it's just a weird phenomenon.
Want representation, but they want it to be done good and in good taste. And then they're just like, if you mention it once and then never bring it up again, there's not gonna point to mentioning it at all.
Yeah, well, like, don't like if you're gonna be putting in such characters, don't try to like pass it off as just, oh, we're doing it for the sake of it. Like, just make it a natural process. Like, just when you're normally hiring an actor. Like, if they're transgender or the like, just go with it. It's like, why do we have to make such a big deal about it? And because we're making a big deal out of it, exactly. It's leading to more hate. It's leading to more hate towards these people.
And that's why, like, there's this whole stupid debate. This, like, if you're gonna have a character that's trans, then why not cast a trans actor? Or, like, why make a cis person act as a trans character if they don't understand what it's like to even be trans?
Yeah, and it's interesting I bring this up because like Assassin's Creed Syndicate had a gay character, am I correct, or was it a transgender character?
I think it was trans mask, so like female to male.
Yeah, but do you remember if like Ubisoft did any kind of interviews regarding the inclusion of like a transgender character? Did they like try to make a big deal about it?
I mean, not really, but like they also like I don't even think they even said the word trans once in the game.
Well, I mean, I think in some ways that's actually good because I mean, we're not like immediately going in being like, oh, they just put in a trans character just because, you know, like we're not informed of it initially, and then we kind of understand that eventually. And
I think the only mention of the character being trans is in like their Animus database thing.
yeah,
Like, it's not
yeah.
even like mentioned in like dialogue or anything. And most people don't even read the database entries anyway, so like most people probably wouldn't even see that.
Yeah, well, wasn't there a database entry in like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood that kind of implied that Leonardo da Vinci was gay?
Well, that's also like a real life thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh. I thought that was just assumed.
I mean, I don't know if it's like been officially confirmed whether Da Vinci was like actually gay in real life or not. But like some people think that like I think there's a theory where like he painted like the famous like painting of Jesus and he modeled Jesus after like a gay boyfriend or something.
Yeah, but really we shouldn't be talking about this right now because we're doing the thing that I'm already saying is a bad thing to do. Like we're trying to make a big deal about this, and we really shouldn't, you know. I mean,
we have to talk about something in this hour and a half video.
Yeah, true. But let's resume our talk on Loki. So like, you know, as you were describing, you know, they kind of described Loki as being like a gender fluid. But was there ever any hint of this in like the previous Marvel shows that featured Loki?
I mean, no, but like in the comics, there was a thing where like Loki, like I don't know the exact story, but like he like died or something, and they had to like reincarnate into a female body.
Why though?
I don't know the story on it, but I think it's also like a reference to like Norse mythology, where like he would sometimes trick people into thinking he was a female like god or something, and like do weird shit to them because the Norse mythology is weird.
Yeah, but do you feel like that whole idea of Loki being gender fluid in the actual show, like, do you feel like that was just placed there for the sake of being placed there, or do you feel like there was actual build up to that?
I feel like it's just placed there just because Disney was like, oh, we need representation, and the best way to do that is just mention it once and never mention it again, because we're Disney.
Yeah, and then you're just gonna be generating more hate towards like gender fluid people, and like I myself have had like a personal encounter with a transphobe individual because like I was doing a reaction video to someone reviewing Resident Evil Village, and I didn't even realize that the person who was doing the review was actually like was transgender. Because this person's name is Sphere Hunter, but like I initially heard her and I thought, oh yeah, that is a girl. But this person, like I was premiering my video on my channel, right? And this guy named like Kareem Pride, he came in and he was just making like some of the most like transphobic like slurs I've ever seen, and after 3 comments I pretty much muted the guy. Like I was so disgusted by this guy when he's saying that, oh, our religion says this is not okay. Like it's just so weird to have this kind of individual. How is it weird? You're going against the very nature of humanity.
Being a transphobe has the word pride in his name.
Yeah, it's so fucking retarded. Like, I can't believe these kind of people exist. These kind of people that go against the very nature of what it is to be a human being, and they want to somehow, like, designate the rules of being human, which is fucking stupid.
Bro, fucking love is love, and gender is a fake social construct. Just fucking let people live.
Yeah, that's the whole point. We're supposed to be a fucking society. We're trying to actually create like equality between us so that we can make our society run, but professing such ideals just goes against the very nature of what it means to establish a society. Like, what the fuck? What is that?
Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. And like he has such a venomous hate towards it. It's like he's so eternally devoted to the whole idea of just uprooting the transgender community and the like.
It's
Like
like
why? Why
all
the
the
fuck are you wasting your time with that?
all the stupid turfy people just need to like leave and shut up.
Yeah, exactly. And like I even like I told you about this whole incident, and it was just
Yeah.
yeah, you were equally as disgusted with these
It's
kind
like
of people.
God, I don't even know if it's like still going on anymore, but like a few months ago or like last year or something, there was like this whole stupid like super straight thing happening, and it was like, God dang it. I hate all of these people.
Yeah, they're just trying to make a big deal out of nothing, and it like you know it's just goes back to the whole idea of discrimination and the like. There's no science behind oh this certain like ethnic group is somehow worse than this other group. Like what the fuck is that about?
It's like
It's
all based in like patriarchy and like cishet society, and it's like why?
yeah, I know. It's like do these
Trans people
people?
have like existed for centuries. Like what? If this is nothing new.
Yeah, I know, and it's like they just completely discard all the known sciences, all the known like psychology behind individuals, and they come up with like they come up with their own like doctrine or like their own philosophies that aren't even like a philosophy at that
Yeah.
point. It's so dumb.
They're basically just like if you're a man, you have to be a man and you have to marry a woman. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, what do you bet like the Order of the Ancients and the Templars are transphobic and the like?
I mean, they're in the business of control, so maybe I don't know.
Yeah, because they
Try to
seem
force everyone into one box.
yeah, I know, and they don't respect like humanity as much. They don't really they don't like try to find the gray areas in humanity like the assassins do. Although, you know, like it's hard to say that now because of the way Ubisoft has screwed with the assassin philosophy and the Templar philosophy. Like remember Rogue? Remember how they advertised Rogue as being a game where you're playing as the Templars when in actuality all they did was just flip the names. So like the Templars that you're with are actually more like assassins compared to the assassins who for some reason behave like Templars.
They just made the assassins complete idiots.
Yeah. But like
They didn't even care they were like destroying the world.
yeah, I know, and like I get what Ubisoft was trying to go there because I mean it's kind of easy for one side to profess this whole ideal, yet exhibit behaviors that go against the very idea of that behavior. But you know, like the discrepancies involved and just the amount of problems involved with the way the assassins and Templars are portrayed, the difference is like the number of problems is just too much to the point where it's just bad writing, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't even like feel right to call them assassins and Templars anymore because like they're not literally not even part of their own series anymore.
Yeah, and like, as Laser Z described, believe it or not, Assassin's Creed used to be about assassins and Templars.
Assassin's Creed doesn't even have assassins in it anymore. Like they literally put in like for Watch Dogs Legion, they literally put in like a new assassin character, and was like, oh, it's like an Assassin's Creed crossover, and people were so mad. It was like, why are you putting assassins in a completely other game that's not Assassin's Creed?
Well, I mean, apparently they take place in the same universe. Like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed take place in the
Yeah, but
exact same
it was
universe.
like a completely new like character that they made just for like crossover. That wasn't even like an Assassin's Creed character. It was a freaking Watch Dogs character that was like basically sold as an Assassin's Creed character.
Yeah, but I mean, like in the first Watch Dogs, you do kill Olivier. Like I know Aiden Pierce killed Olivier, like the guy that was missing in Assassin's Creed 4. Like that's an interesting crossover there. But I mean, what you're describing, I can totally understand why that would come across as just being placed there for the sake of being placed there with Watch Dogs Legion.
And it was just like placed for like marketing and money and shit because Assassin's Creed is like their most like popular and well sold series.
Unless you're talking about For Honor, of course, or like Rainbow Six Siege.
Well, I'm pretty sure even Assassin's Creed sells more than those.
But look at the way the Bunakud is running. By the way, I can't get over how stupid that running animation looks.
It's so stupid.
Wow, it's just I think they took his fat persona a little too far and made it too literal. Yeah. But you know, there's one thing I want to talk about with regards to this. Now that I've actually think about it, because Laser Z did bring up when he was doing his video for like which Assassin's Creed game is the best one, and you know he put Assassin's Creed 1 at number 4. And one of the things he did describe about Assassin's Creed 1 was the environmental storytelling. How he said that the area that you're in fits their respective targets very well. Like right here with killing the merchant of Damascus, you know, like it's obviously going to take place in like the rich district of Damascus, where you like everything is like the construction is all done very well. There's like people actually on the streets. Like there aren't so many poor people. You know, I never really gave this a lot of thought, but I think it's actually like an interesting idea for what Assassin's Creed 1 does. And you know, that's a great example of an Assassin's Creed trait with like very subtle storytelling like that they just lost in the later games.
And like every city has like its own color and stuff. And I remember like when I tried to introduce my brother to Assassin's Creed, like I was like, "Oh, you have to play AC2," and he was like, he tried to play it one day, and he was like, "I don't understand why every city has its own color, and I hate all the colors." And it's like, why?
What?
What are
He
you
said
talking
that?
about? Yeah, that's literally what he said when I tried to make him play AC2 one time. It's like,
Has he never heard of environmental fatigue? Does he really want to go through the exact same environment over and over again?
this was like years ago, so like I don't even know what he was thinking back then.
Yeah, and didn't you also say that he hated Ezio?
Yeah.
Why?
He played like 5 minutes of AC2, and I was like, I hate SEO, and I hate how like predictive the storytelling is in this game. It's like, what are you even talking about?
You played through 5 minutes of the game, dude. In like
Yeah.
how long would you say AC2 is? Like a 10-hour experience?
I mean, probably at least 10 hours, maybe more, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but like you're basing your critique
I
on
don't even
1%.
think he got to the part where Ezio's family got hanged.
Yeah, like that is ridiculous.
But like I'm pretty sure the last mission he played was like giving the letter to Roberto about the like trying to make them stop the hanging. It was like he just got so bored of it, and he was like, "What are you even doing, bro?" And then he just went back to Dark Souls.
Oh my god. And now he's a PC gamer, as far as I can tell. He doesn't go on
Yeah.
console anymore.
Like that's literally how my brother like was. Like we both started with like Nintendo, and then we both went to PS3, and then I came back to Nintendo, and then he went to PS4, and I was like, "Oh, I want a PS4 too." So then we were both like PS4 for a while, and then he got a PC, and now he only ever does PC, while I have like PC, PS4, PS3, and then other Nintendo stuff. It's like, bro, why do you only use PC for your entire life now?
Yeah, like at least diversify your content. Like I'm playing on like I mean it's hard for me to say this because like I play on like my PS3, my PS2, my PS4. I mean not really my PS4 too much because you know PS5 runs PS4 games. But you know I've been playing like those console games, and I've also been playing on my VR headset. Like I did get an Oculus Quest 2 a while back, and I've been enjoying it. It's been a very fun experience going through that VR experience. And can you imagine what Assassin's Creed would be like if it was in VR?
I mean, I feel like it would be like similar to like the first person like VR Spider-Man games or something with like all the climbing and stuff.
Yeah, but I imagine it'd be very hard to do a lot of complex actions like wall ejects and the like.
I also don't know what's going on with Altair here. Like I've had this happen on like PS3 and my PC copy, and I don't know what makes them bounce up and down like this.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. I didn't actually notice that.
Like I don't know what makes this happen, but it's just a weird little thing. And there's like even weirder glitch that I had that's we're gonna see later in the video that's like even worse.
I mean, Altair's standing on like some rug of some sort, like something that's rolled up,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing his static model just shifts his hitbox a bit.
Effect of the collision.
Yeah.
And like also something I want to mention, like when we were talking about like how like the cities have like these like storytelling, and like I used to like oh the rich district has like all these marketplaces. Like earlier we did a mission where like I had to destroy like fake merchant stands, and that mission is actually a PC exclusive mission.
Really?
Yeah, like it's not in the PS3 or like Xbox version at all. It's like a completely new mission they made just for the PC version.
I was looking at the video just now and I didn't even realize that was a mission because I had my audio muted.
That was when we were like talking about gay people and Loki or whatever.
Yeah,
That was
that's
a while ago.
yeah. I thought you were just doing it for the heck of it. I didn't realize that was part of a mission.
That's why I deliberately showed it off, because it's a PC exclusive mission.
Wow, that's crazy. And the PC version, did it release alongside the console versions or later on?
I think it released later on, maybe, I don't know.
Because it feels like if they're going to be putting in additional content like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've already talked about like how a lot of the side stuff was already placed into AC1 because some CEO's kid played the game and thought it was boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a last-minute decision to put in these side missions.
Yeah, I think that PC exclusive mission is like the only thing they changed. And like in the PS3 version, it's like a escort mission or something, or like a flag collecting mission. I don't remember.
But I forget what we were like going back to like the environmental storytelling, like what we just did there with like with the Merchant of Damascus. He's obviously going to be in the rich district. Earlier on, I think this was back in sequence 2, where we killed that doctor. Like the doctor fits his respective setting, where he's in the poor district, where there's all those beggars and lots of crime around, and lots of thugs as well. Like,
Every target in every city has its own like district. Like every sequence, you're going to a new district of each city, and it's never in the same order.
yeah, which is very interesting. But resuming our talks on Loki, so obviously we said that it started off very strong. Like Loki, like the first episode was really trying to bring in a lot of like religious ideals from the likes of other cultures, basically, and they kind of use that as a framework for their time travel storyline. And like the second episode, I think the second episode was good, but the third episode was really bad. I did not like the third episode of Loki.
The third episode was so dumb, because it literally just like took place in this one like apocalypse place for the entire episode, and then the episode ended with like a cliffhanger about like, oh, are they gonna die? And it's like, we know they're not gonna die because we know there's more episodes and there's a season 2.
Yeah, like they already revealed there'd be like 9 episodes for season 1, and
why even bother having a cliffhanger about their death? It makes no sense.
yeah, it's so bizarre, and like it didn't even introduce anything important to the story aside from the fact that all the members of the TVA are what are they called again? Variants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like in episode 4, when like, they got like rescued from like the apocalypse, like I don't understand like how them holding hands and like being attracted to each other made like a alert in the TVA or whatever, like a time vortex or whatever it was.
A Nexus event. It was a Nexus event. Yeah.
Yeah, but like how does 2 people falling in love make that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's so strange that they didn't really explain it that well, and like the part in episode 2 where she like what's her name again? Sylvie?
Sylvie?
Yeah, where she uses those time charges. How did she get the time charges to behave differently? Although like wasn't it always implied that the time charges they did create alternate timelines, but they actually disposed of those people in like those timelines in that garbage place or whatever it's called, like in the second to last episode.
I think that's what they did. I think they just like erased everything from that timeline and sent it to the area.
Yeah, but I still wonder how she even did that, and I just question like what it was for. Was that how the What If series was started? The moment she used those time charges?
I think What If was like a separate thing where it's just like, oh, like the Watcher is like telling us all these what if stories.
I don't think so, because when you go onto Disney Plus and you go to the horizontal tab which lists all the Marvel cinemas and animated shows, like when you go to that tab where it lists them in chronological order, it puts What If, I think it's after Loki. So I'm assuming like because they placed it there, it means that Sylvie had some hand in actually creating the timelines that we see.
I mean, I guess, but like, there's also the whole thing about like the Watcher he just watches all the different timelines all at once.
Yeah, and like it's billions of timelines. It seems like, and you know, one thing I've never really understood about a time travel aspect in particular, and this is that was weird. He
Yeah.
engaged in combat with you, and you just stabbed him like that. That was weird.
Yeah, he randomly, like, I think it was because like he did the animation where like you can just stab them with a hidden blade whenever they're in the middle of that animation. So I just took advantage of that.
Oh, I see. And what do you actually get for killing all the Templars in this game?
Literally nothing.
Wow, that's dumb. But
I've 100%ed every Assassin's Creed game except for like Valhalla at least once, and you literally get nothing in any of them.
wow, that is dumb. I mean, technically with like AC Brotherhood, when you're doing 100%, you're unlocking new missions, right?
Yeah, but like even when you do those missions 100%, you still get nothing.
Maybe, yeah, but maybe it's for something more than that. Maybe it's like some kind of reward.
In AC1, technically, you get more health whenever you like collect all the flags or something in an area. But like, there's also no point because you can like get full health just by playing the game normally.
Yeah, and you know, taking damage on this game, it's punishing, but at the same time, like you can get away with a lot of like interesting stuff with the combat, like being able to counter someone, knock him down, disengage lock on, and then just run in with the hidden blade and stab him on the ground. Or like when you're like you're going onto the rooftops and hitting enemies during certain animations to kill them.
And like in the last video when you're surprised at like me taking advantage of like anime animations and shit like that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. That was very, very intriguing.
Yeah, I don't even like remember like how I first discovered that, but I just take advantage of it every single time now.
You must have done it on accident somehow.
I guess.
Yeah, but like I love those.
Trying to do like a challenge where it's like, oh, I am only allowed to use the hidden blade for the entire game, and that's what I did.
Yeah, but like I love those hidden designs in the combat, and this was also the case in Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. And then AC3 didn't have a lot of hidden designs like that with its combat systems, which was
AC3 changed the combat system where it's like enemies have infinite health until you do a full combo on them, and it's like, why?
I don't think that's entirely accurate because I have had some moments where it's like taking me like I've damaged an enemy a bit, and then you know like I've been interrupted by another enemy, and then I re-engage combat with the previous enemy, and he's died after like one hit. Maybe it's like you probably don't notice it as much because like it's so easy to focus on one enemy in Assassin's Creed game before Unity, basically. That's probably what it is.
In AC3, like whenever you're trying to do like a full combo on an enemy, you always get interrupted by other enemies because they just fucking hit you from like nowhere.
Yeah, and I remember a lot of the bugs I used to get with the guards in AC3. Like, there are two bugs in particular I remember. When you were looting dead bodies in AC3, sometimes Connor would just like the camera would just get stuck and you couldn't move it after looting a body, and it happened all the time on the PS3 version. But I think they fixed it in the remastered version.
Yeah, it's still in the remaster, but it happens a lot less.
Yeah, and then also I had like at the launch version of AC3, I remember getting moments where I would get an infinite like health guard where he just would not die, and Connor would never do the execution animation, and so I literally had no choice but to run away. And also, for some reason, this guy with the infinite health, he had the ability to counter every single one of my counters, so regardless of whether I did circle, triangle, circle, square, circle X, circle, circle, he would just counter all of it, and I don't know why. It was so strange.
I don't know if I ever had that.
Yeah, and it's not even like some special guard. It's just like it's the normal like regular soldier with like the bayonet, and he counters everything, and he has infinite health, and I can't kill him. It's so bizarre. I don't know why that's a thing in the launch version, but I'm so glad they fixed it in the PS3 version.
There's also a problem with the notoriety in AC3 where like if you're at full notoriety, it's like completely impossible to lower it because enemies just spawn out of nowhere and instantly detect you and initiate combat. And if you're initiated in combat, you can't like take down posters or go into like the printing shops.
Oh, I thought you could take down posters even when in combat. No?
I think you can do it if like they're like far away from you and like not in line of sight. But like if they're like close to you and like trying to fight you, then you can't do it.
But can't you like fast travel out of the city that you're in? Like, say for instance, you get like notoriety 3 in Boston, and you fast travel to the frontier and then go back. Does that remove the notoriety that you currently have in Boston?
I don't know if it like removes it entirely. I think it like removes it like by like one stage or something. But like it's also like really slow. You also can't fast travel when you're in combat anyway, and it's impossible. It's like really hard to not be in combat when you're at full notoriety, because they just initiate combat immediately and they also spawn out of nowhere.
I mean, I guess you could probably do like a leap of faith into a hay bale, because normally the enemies lose you when you do leap of faiths. Like if they're actually on the rooftop with you, of course.
Yeah, but if you're on the ground, you have to like climb up to a roof and deal with like all the people throwing rocks at you.
Or like shooting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to avoid those kind of projectiles when you're on the walls of an Assassin's Creed game.
And like AC3 doesn't have like a grab button like the older games do, so like it's harder to like grab onto a wall.
Yeah, because everything's just automatic in AC3 basically. But having talked about that, let's actually resume the tangent I was discussing with Sylvie and Loki. But you know, like one thing I've never really understood about the way the time travel stuff works, and or like with like the way the timelines work in general, is like there's supposed to be billions of these possibilities. But you know, like the Watcher described in the last version, like in the last episode of What If, that each universe was different in a subtle way, but where exactly does that difference apply? Like, when you look at Doctor Strange, for instance, from Avengers Infinity War, he mentioned that out of like billions of like futures that he saw, there was only one where they actually win against Thanos, but you're telling me in all those other timelines, Thanos won. But like when and factoring in like the Watcher's whole idea of every universe being slightly different, what is it about those other universes that makes them so different, yet the same possibility of Thanos winning still exists? That's what confuses me. And like, where does that whole idea of a difference apply? Like does it apply to like small things? Does it apply to big things? Like, oh, this one character has like 6 fingers in this one universe, but then in the others he has like 5, and there are other differences. Like, oh, maybe this person has like an additional like eyeball or something. Where does that change like get factored into? That's what I never understood. And the reason why I'm discussing this is because in the second to last episode of What If, we're introduced to the ultimate version of Ultron. I forget what his full name was, but like Ultron possessed all like 6. It was 6 Infinity Stones, right? 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he possessed all 6 of the Infinity Stones, and so. And I can't remember if he absorbed any other powers, but he had the ability to enter the Watcher's realm. And with the way like the Watcher was when reacting to what Ultron was doing, it's almost like it was his first time. And you know, they get rid of that version of Ultron in the last episode, but it's like, or rather, they don't get rid of him. They trap him in a pocket dimension, the same dimension that the evil version of Doctor Strange is in. But is it, you know, like factoring like the whole idea of every like of there being like multiple universes, is it possible that there could be another version of Ultron that goes through the exact same thing, and then he repeats the whole process of invading the Watcher's realm? And that's the one part that really confuses me about the way the time travel is handled in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, you understand what I mean, Pcol?
Yeah. Like, I don't understand like if there's supposed to be one sacred timeline, like, then what about all the other timelines?
I mean, in Loki, they did, like the sacred timeline was described as a series of universes that were handpicked by the timekeeper, or rather by that one guy, and that became like the timeline that they thought should be like the main timeline. Am I correct on that?
I think so, but like, what about like all the timelines from like the comics and shit? Because clearly, like, they're all supposed to be like different Earths and like all happening all at the same time.
What the hell happened to you? Did you miss that leap of faith?
Somehow the leap of faith didn't register for some reason, and it just killed me.
That was weird. I've never seen that happen before. It's surprising considering that you're playing on PC, and PC normally optimizes these things very well.
Yeah. I mean, it's also the first game in the series, so obviously it's gonna be like badly programmed.
Yeah, but I can't remember that ever happening on the PS3 version.
I'm pretty sure I've had it happen to me multiple times.
Wow.
Like on PS3 and PC.
I mean, I remember like the amount of times I missed a leap of faith in Valhalla because of how much the like it's because the character doesn't face the leap of the character doesn't face the hay bale correctly whenever they do like the successful viewpoint sequence. Or like with I think it was the same case. No, not so much in Origins. No, it's mainly in with Valhalla basically. Like it had very poor detection on the hay bale.
And like Odyssey is also dumb because it doesn't even like let you hide in hay bales and always forces you out of them.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
Yeah. Also, this is the other glitch I had.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That actually happened.
Yeah, this was real in the recording.
What is this?
I think it was like something with my controller, like my PS4 controller like has issues with my PC or something, and so it keeps like always like disconnecting and reconnecting. So like something happened where like one of the buttons got like stuck or something, and like so it just kept changing the camera angle like rapidly, like every millisecond or something.
Yeah, but we would be able to see the other like camera angles. But I'm only really seeing two camera angles.
Because it's like changing it so quickly. That's why.
But why is it only showing like the first and last camera angle options? Huh. That's
maybe because this cutscene only has two options. I don't know.
Maybe. That is odd. But you know, going back to wow, like the glitch disappeared for a second, but now it's back for whatever reason.
This is why I had to like replay the entire game because it wouldn't fix. I literally had to like delete the file and make a new save file and restart the entire game from the beginning just to fix it. And that's why this video took like forever to like record.
Wow, that is dumb.
Yeah, and it happened like 2 other times after that, but this is the only time I put it in the video.
But going back to what we were discussing about the way time works in the MCU, I think you were leading the discussion on this before I got distracted.
I don't understand like there's one sacred timeline, but like somehow there's also like other timelines from like the comics, and like in Far From Home, Mysterio is like, oh, I'm from like Earth 616 and this is like Earth 383 or something. Like, how does he even like think of stuff like that?
I mean, he wasn't though. Like he made that up though as part of the lie, so we can't really take anything from that.
Think of that as a lie.
What do you mean?
Like who would be like insane enough to come up with like different universes as a lie to like think of that?
Well, I mean, Mysterio is a master of deception like that, so maybe like bringing up something as grand as that would actually come across as convincing, especially after everything the Avengers have seen. So maybe it's like that. Because like he is a master of illusion, he's a master of deception, and I imagine that was just there as a better form of persuasion on this part.
It's just confusing. There's too much. There's like too much in the MCU right now.
Yeah. And what was we learned that in the last episode of Loki there aren't any timekeepers. It's just that one guy who he does exist in the comics. I know that. I don't remember what his name is.
What, Kang the Conqueror?
Yeah, Kang the Conqueror. That's his name. I don't. Like I was a little confused with the way he was portrayed in this. Like, there's multiple versions of this Kang the Conqueror, and what did he exist before all the time? Is that what that is?
I think like the way they explained it was like he was a scientist from like the 31st century and like discovered time travel and shit, and like then he was like, oh, I have to like keep like take care of like time and whatever. So then he became like the ultra timekeeper.
So was it what, like one specific timeline, and then in his time travel experiments he managed to create more timelines on accident?
Well, I think he met like other time versions of himself, and like they all fought like a war or something, and then he like had to like take care of the timeline so it wouldn't like collapse. It's so confusing. Time stuff is confusing.
Yeah, it's not really explained very well in most cases. Like, you know, I mean, a great example of a series that actually discusses the whole idea of time travel very well, and it actually fits like the modern sciences that we know and like the sciences that we know currently in our world, is Dragon Ball Super. Because I remember in an episode of Dragon Ball Super, Trunks, you won't understand this, Pcol, because you haven't watched Dragon Ball, but Trunks was explaining how like time works, and that like the whole idea of changing the past changes the future is not actually how time works in the sense that it creates an alternate timeline. That's normally how that whole process works, and like his rationalization for that just made so much sense. And like initially when I first saw Trunks in Dragon Ball Kai, his explanation was very, very confusing because I was of the belief that changing the past changed the future, which obviously that doesn't make sense. So, think about it this way, Pcol. Like, if the whole idea of changing the past, changing the future actually happened, like if that's actually a concept, then you would have to assume that someone from our future, like so many years later, would have already time traveled back
Yeah.
to like a period before we existed. Like say to like before you were born, basically. Like let's say you time traveled back to like 1900 and did something to change the course of our of America, for instance. So like what would happen then, like to us, like to you and me right now, Picol, if he changed the past, would like everything just fade out of existence and then we wouldn't remember anything? Like that would have already happened, but it hasn't. So clearly that whole concept doesn't make sense.
That's like Back to the Future logic.
Yeah, and as they said in Marvel, Back to the Future is a load of crap in the way it describes that. Yeah, it's bullshit. And like as Hulk explains in the MCU, he literally says, if you travel to the past, that past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future because obviously the future cannot change the past. Yeah.
It's like real life time travel, like conspiracies and like experiments and shit. Like fucking, I don't know if you heard of like Project Pegasus and shit like that. There's like secret government like time travel experiments.
Is that a real thing, or is like?
Yeah. It's like a real life theory.
Yeah, because like I know the name Project Pegasus, but I thought that was just reserved for fiction.
No.
No?
I
Wow.
think it was also in the MCU. Like I think that was like the thing in the first Avengers that was like that like Nick Fury was experimenting on the Tesseract. I think they called that Project Pegasus.
Oh, that's where I heard the name from. That's where I heard it.
But, like,
Yeah.
in real life, Project Pegasus was like a government like time travel conspiracy experiment thing.
So it's something developed by conspiracy theorists, not like an actual real thing.
I might need to do more research on it, but I think it was like there's this famous picture of like some kid with like modern day clothes who went back to like the Gettysburg Address from Abraham Lincoln, and there's like this famous picture of like this kid in modern day clothes with like all these 1800 clothes people.
What?
I'll have to like find the picture and send it to you later. It's real weird.
You sure it's not like photoshopped or deep fake? You sure it's not a deep fake video?
Well, no one knows because it's the conspiracy theory.
I've never heard of
It's like
that.
a real famous picture.
So we just had a brief pause just there because we have to like stop the video very early because like we can only record up to an hour on PlayStation. That's how we're doing this. But we were just talking about like Project Pegasus and the like, and Picol had actually sent me a picture, and I mean he it's implied that that kid doesn't belong there, but it looks like he does belong there. So I don't really agree that
That's what you think.
yeah,
I need
that's
to do more research on it, but like it's a weird thing.
yeah. But but basically going back to the whole idea of the MCU, like I have to say, I was really glad that the developers of Avengers Endgame actually put in that whole scene with Hulk, and they just put that in there as a way to shut up all the people who believe that changing the past changes the future, which is not true at all. Like I thought it was a very funny scene, and like I was really well aware of this whole idea because I watched Dragon Ball Super, but that was a pretty cool scene, and I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you also know about like the grandfather paradox thing.
It sounds familiar.
It's like a famous like time travel like I don't know like experiment or something or like thought theory.
It sounds familiar. Like discuss it further.
I think it's like if you go back and kill your grandfather, then your grandfather can't be born to like eventually give birth to you. So then you're not allowed. You're not like able to go back and kill your grandfather in the first place.
Hmm. Um.
Like,
I see what you're saying there, but
like if you kill your grandfather, like you're eventually never gonna like be able to like be born because then your grandfather won't have like the kids that will eventually birth you. So then you're never gonna be born. So then you'll never be able to go back and kill your grandfather.
so basically what you're
You're not
saying
born.
is, you kill the grandfather and you die.
I guess. I think that's how it works.
I don't see how that's a paradox though, and it's just there's no.
Because like you're going back to kill the person who eventually lead down to you, but if you kill the person who leads down to you, then you won't exist.
Yeah, but I mean, you're kind of going in there to kill the grandfather, knowing that's going to happen, right? Like,
It's just like a thought here. You're not supposed to think that far.
yeah, but it sounds silly. There's no point in comprehending that. But you know, like talking more about like Marvel shows. You know, I watched all of What If, as I already described. What If was okay. I mean, there were some good episodes, like you know the Doctor Strange one, where he actually sees the Watcher for the first time. I thought that was a pretty interesting idea, and then like eventually the Watcher had to play some kind of role in one of the episodes. I don't remember. I mean, like the although like I will say like What If episode 2, which features T'Challa as Star-Lord. That's I'm very intrigued by that because you know like that one minor change led to such like a different universe. It was absolutely insane. Like I don't know if you felt the same way as I did with T'Challa becoming Black Panther. I'm sorry, T'Challa becoming Star-Lord. But you know, like with him becoming Star-Lord, he stops Thanos. He actually like helps out the universe greatly. It's absolutely insane that they put in that many kind of changes for just that small change with T'Challa being Star-Lord. And it's funny when we're thinking about it, because then you have to think, oh, so everything that happened in the cinematic movies, like in the live-action movies, is all because of Star-Lord. So Star-Lord is the one that's responsible for all of that. Yeah, that's just what I found to be very funny about episode 2 with What If.
And then Mario dies.
You say Mario?
Yeah. Because Chris Pratt starts getting killed.
Hmm.
It's a weird joke you won't understand because you don't follow Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, I don't know that really. Yeah.
Basically, Nintendo was making a Mario, and like last month or something, they announced the cast for it, and they fucking made Chris Pratt be Mario.
Real? What?
Yeah, this is real. This is completely real.
Are you for real? Chris Pratt as Mario?
This is completely real, and they got Jack Black as Bowser, and they got Charlie Day as Luigi.
Okay, that is a very interesting roster.
They got Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
That's okay. That is crazy.
This is completely real, and the internet is going crazy over it.
When was this announced?
Like last month or like August or something.
How on earth did they convince these actors to do that?
I don't even know.
Like, who want to make a live action live action Mario movie? That's just.
I mean, we don't even like know if it's gonna be like a live action or like animated. If it's Chris Pratt as Mario, it's probably gonna be animated. But like, still, why would you even choose Chris Pratt as Mario?
And Chris Pratt is the guy that plays Star-Lord, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. That's a very bizarre decision.
Like I don't understand. Like, how does he fit as Mario? You don't look at Chris Pratt and see Mario.
Yeah, can you think of another actor that would probably fit that role better?
Benedict Cumberbatch, I don't know.
Exactly. You can't really do that.
And like they already had like a live action Mario movie from like the 90s or something, and like everyone knows how bad that movie is. So like, I don't even know why they're even like trying to make another one.
They're pretty desperate, it seems. But talking more about
it. Worse than the Uncharted movie, honestly.
Yeah, it sounds worse than the Uncharted movie for sure. But talking more about What If. What If episode 3 was probably my least favorite. It didn't like at least it was one of the episodes that was my least favorite. Like you remember that where like all the Avengers are taken out systematically by Ant-Man or Hank Pym. That one was pretty generic. Episode 4. What was episode 4 again?
Was that the party for one?
No, that was later on. I think episode 4.
Oh, wait, I think episode 4 was the one where Eric Killmonger saves Stark.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I mean, I watched it with my parents, and like my mom didn't like it at all because she kind of said it was kind of like a recreation of what we was already portrayed with Black Panther, with Killmonger like doing the same exact things that he's doing with what he's doing in What If episode 4. So I totally agree with her 100%. It wasn't the most intriguing episode. And then the Doctor Strange one was probably my favorite because I liked that they were touching on certain ideals. Like the artistry was really nice, and like hearing Doctor Strange talk with the Watcher was a nice introduction to what we actually see if the Watcher was interacting with these characters. And yeah, it was a pretty cool episode. And like episode 6 was the Thor one, I believe, right?
That one I didn't really like because it was just like, oh, Thor is like a fucking naive little kid from like War 1 again, except it's for the whole episode.
Yeah, but that's the point though. If Loki wasn't around to be his brother, like if Loki didn't exist as Thor's brother, then he wouldn't have gone out of his way to undercut Thor and get him banished to Earth, and therefore he wouldn't have met Jane Foster.
But then
Yeah.
he still ends up with Jane Foster anyway.
Yeah, because Jane's just like that, basically.
And like the only like character development he had was like, oh, we need to clean up the mess before my mom comes. Like, bro, why?
I mean, that's just, a lot of people wanted Thor to be like that kind of character, basically. That's why Thor Ragnarok was such a hit with so many people, and I do agree that Thor Ragnarok is a great film. It's definitely better than Dark World, that's for sure. But, yeah, I mean, I didn't mind the episode. I mean, it was there for a bit of fun after all the seriousness we've gone through. And,
There's also like a weird like contradiction with that one, where like at the end when the Ultron comes through the portal, the Watcher's like surprised at seeing Ultron, but then like in the very next episode we like see him follow the entire like Ultron storyline and get surprised that Ultron notices him. It's like, why is he surprised at Ultron in the 4 episode, but then like he watches Ultron like grow to be like a completely robot monster in the very next episode.
I do remember him getting shocked by Ultron. I mean, he was kind of there as a comic, like like he said, oh, they live happily ever after, but oh wait, like that's how I saw the Watcher as,
Well, he was clearly surprised at Ultron. Like he clearly didn't know he was even like coming.
No, I think that's not so. That's out of the moment though. I think that's out of context. Like he said that line out of context, not so much like it was meant to contradict the later episode. Like that's how I viewed that situation, really. Like it was there for like breaking the fourth wall in a sense.
Well, the entire point of the Watcher is to break the fourth wall.
Okay, I guess that's a fair point. But yeah. Last 2 episodes were really good. What If was decent. That's what I'll say. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I did like I did like seeing Falcon as the main character, and the one thing I did find a little confusing about the Falcon and Winter Soldier was I don't know how long it's been since you've actually watched the first Captain America movie. But did you watch it recently? Because then you'll understand my point.
Probably like at least a year or 2 ago.
Yeah, but you remember the whole moment from the first Captain America where what's that doctor's name? Steven's like friend, who's that German doctor? Do you remember?
Steven's friend. What,
Yeah,
Howard Stark?
No. That German doctor, the one that recruits him into
The Hydra guy?
not
Becomes the robot?
no, not Zola. It's Like the one that introduces him to the super soldier serum. Okay, yeah, I can see you don't remember him, but that
Well, I
doctor.
remember his face.
Hmm.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, but
Eric
that
Selvig or something, or is that a different character?
no, Eric Solvig is a different one, but that he mentioned to Steve that the super soldier serum is meant to enhance good traits and bad traits, which is why he mentioned that good becomes better, bad becomes worse. So building off of that logic, why is it that that false Captain America that we see in Falcon and Winter Soldier, why did he not become a villain? Like, how was he able to like maintain his composure at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier? Like, why did he not become something equivalent to Johann Schmidt? That was something that really puzzled me, and I just feel like they didn't touch upon it that well.
Isaiah Bradley, that guy.
Yeah, Isaiah Bradley, the guy who does the false Captain America, in
Oh,
yeah,
like the guy who was like experimented on.
yeah, like I mean, he wasn't experimented on. He found the super soldier serum on accident, and he.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the black guy.
Not the black guy. No,
Oh,
I'm talking
John
about
Walker.
like I'm talking about yeah, well, Walker. That's his name. Walker. That's who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about like the black guy who was like experimented on by the government or something.
Was he experimented on by the government?
I think like because they were like, oh, like he's a black guy with the soldier serum, and you're like, it's because of white cishet society. They were like, oh, we can't allow a black person to be the Captain America.
Oh,
Because
that
they're-
guy. That guy. I thought you were talking about Walker's sidekick. Like what?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but yeah, that was the part that really confused me with Walker's portrayal in the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. But I will say though, that speech that Falcon did when he was talking about Cardia Morgenthau and like how the government just wasn't doing enough to actually like help out all the people that were brought back via the blip. Like that speech was absolutely like the best part of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's one of my all-time favorite Marvel moments. That is truly like a legendary speech right there. It was done so well, and like it's for a series that was made after Stan Lee's death. They really did Stan Lee justice with that particular speech scene, because it just feels like a scene that Stan Lee would easily direct, because Stan Lee's a very deep person, I would say. Like, it was a deep person, I should be saying.
Yeah.
And, that was absolutely like the greatest moment in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I don't know if we'll ever get any more moments like that in any of the later shows. And I hear all this talk about Shang-Chi being like a really great movie. Have you watched it?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah. It's real good.
Like good in what sense? Like it's just like it's a very fun film, or does it have like other elements that are good?
I feel like it's like a fun movie to watch, and like the action sequences are like really good. But I feel like at the end it like kind of like got too insane, because there were like all these like weird like monsters that just like came out of nowhere, and then it suddenly became like a monster kill movie at the end.
Okay, so yeah, so at least you didn't spoil it for me just then. But maybe I should watch Shang-Chi. And then there's this whole talk about Eternals. You heard of Eternals?
Yeah. It's
Um,
coming out like next week.
what is it based on? Like, what's the whole premise of the show?
I think it's it's a movie, but like I think it's like about like people who like came to Earth and like billions of years ago and like helped humans like evolve into what they are now, but like fighting like these other creatures called deviants to like protect them from, but like they're also not allowed to like involve themselves with humans at all.
And are these Eternals human or are they robotic? Because I'm thinking of like in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Volume 1, they go inside of Nowhere. Nowhere is the head of a celestial being, and yeah, is it? Are they relating that celestial being to Eternals?
I think Eternals are like a lower form of Celestials.
Okay.
So they're like alien people, kind of, but they're like less than Celestials, but they're so powerful. Like technically Thanos is also an Eternal, but he had like a deviant gene or something, so that's why he's all like fucked up.
Yeah, because didn't he like exist before the Big Bang happened? Like I remember this being a thing in the comics. Is like he was trying to stop the Big Bang, and the Big Bang ultimately destroyed Titan. Like Titan wasn't like the moon of Saturn. Titan was like a space station, I believe. Something.
I haven't read comics, so like I don't know. All my Marvel knowledge is from the MCU, so I don't know how the comics work.
Yeah, but like that's what I recall from Thanos. You know, like I'm surprised they didn't touch upon that in the films. But yeah, that would be an interesting idea if Thanos was one of the Eternals.
I mean, he literally is though.
Yeah, I guess so, and maybe that's what the developers meant when they said that Thanos would return. Maybe he's returning in Eternals.
I mean, maybe I don't know.
Hmm.
Or it's like a timeline thing where like he comes from another timeline because the timeline's all collapsed now.
Yeah, maybe it's like that, or like I don't even know like when Eternals takes place. Do you know like where it is in the timeline, basically, like when it takes place?
Well, in the trailers they said like the Avengers brought people back from the blimp, so it's clearly like after Endgame and shit.
Okay, and somehow these Eternals are gonna play a role in this. Hmm. Maybe one of them
I
was.
think in the trailers they said like, oh, like the blip brought back like all the deviants and shit, and because it like had like giant radiation or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, if the blip brought back the deviants, then technically the deviants were already there before Thanos even did the snap. So that's just a very redundant thing to say, that the blip somehow brought back the deviants. If it brought back the deviants, then clearly, like when Thanos snapped his fingers, it's implied that the deviants were already there. Because like the snap that Thanos does, it doesn't kill people. Like people, like I was wondering like why like Natasha dying, like why is it that people who die to then get the soul stone, like why do they not get resurrected by the stones? But apparently it's because when you do, like when you snap your fingers and you wipe out a lot of existence, they're not actually dead, they're in a limbo state apparently. So the Infinity Stones are not more powerful than death apparently. They can't actually bend the rules of death, it seems. That's what the developers mentioned about that.
And like technically the Infinity Stones still exist in like the main MCU timeline because like the creators just said like when Thanos got rid of the stones they just got atomized, so they're still in the universe but they just like can't be used anymore because like they're like required for like the timeline to exist.
Yeah. Oh, in fact, now that you mentioned it, do you remember that one scene from the last episode of What If, where Nebula is trying to destroy those Infinity Stones that Ultron has? Like, she mentioned that she can't do it because she's using a device from her universe to destroy Infinity Stones from another universe. But like, what makes those Infinity Stones so different? Like, I know he said that each universe is different, but like, are the Infinity Stones a factor to consider? And like, there was this whole like, remember those Infinity Stones in the TVA and how they actually were useless in the TVA? Like, I originally thought that if the Infinity Stones were in the actual TVA's dimension, then they wouldn't work. But apparently, if you take Infinity Stones out of one universe and you try to use them in another universe, they actually don't work. But then how is it that Ultron's Infinity Stones were working when he was traveling between universes? Or is that some other case there with like, oh, the universe where his Infinity Stones come from, they're different in the sense that they can somehow work between universes. Like that just seems like a very like convenient explanation to give.
I never even like thought of that, but like I feel like it's because like they made him such like a powerful like being and like he infiltrated the Watcher's realm, like he just stole the Watcher's power or something.
Yeah, and I guess to add to that sake of being powerful, they just made his Infinity Stones like go against like a lot of the lore that's been established with the Infinity Stones. Or they
There's
just
also the fact that like somehow like he stole the Infinity Stones from Thanos in that universe, but then he like goes to like Xandar and like destroys Xandar, but like Xandar is like completely fine and not already destroyed, even though when Thanos went to get the Power Stone from there, he already destroyed it?
Well, maybe the Power Stone wasn't delivered in Xandar in that universe. Maybe it's like that, because I mean, subtle differences here and there. Like, we don't even know how that universe where Thanos existed, like how a lot of the events played out. And that I didn't really think of, but it should be like a uniform principle with the Infinity Stones not working in another universe. But I feel like they took a bit of a cheap shortcut with the storytelling in the What If
There was
episode.
also the zombie episode where like zombie Thanos had like 5 of the Infinity Stones at the end for some reason. Even though if he had 5 of the Infinity Stones, I'm pretty sure he would be able to easily kill zombies and not get zombified himself.
Yeah, or like, and we don't even see him return in the final episode, which is so odd. We only see zombified Scarlet Witch return, which is odd, very odd. Like, I don't know who's directing the lore now. Is it still like, is Kevin Feige still the guy doing the lore for MCU?
I don't know if he's like doing the lore, but he's like the main guy behind the MCU. But I think like every what if episode had like a different director or something.
Really? Huh. Interesting. But yeah, those were definitely like the main takeaways from What If, and yeah, and I wonder like when exactly the MCU will actually reach its apex, because we're going into Phase 4 now, and I'm wondering if there are going to be more phases in the long run. Like,
everyone thinks it already peaked at Endgame.
Yeah, that's what we thought as well. We all thought that Endgame was actually the end, when in actuality there are far greater events out like beyond that. And
most people don't even like follow the MCU anymore because there's just too much.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like everyone just like left at Endgame because it was just like the peak of it.
Yeah, and it just seemed like the perfect ending.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, oh yeah, that's right. You remember that Black Widow film? I didn't like Black Widow. Black Widow was pretty bad.
Like a few months ago, I literally watched like a 3-hour like review of Black Widow, and it was just like they were just hating on the movie the entire time because it's so bad.
Yeah, and then like that whole setup in the post-credit scene where that same woman who was managing Walker, she comes in and she says, "Oh, I know who killed Black Widow. It was Hawkeye." Like, what is that setting up though? I don't really get that.
I mean, I think people were like saying, "Oh, like she's trying to set up like the Dark Avengers."
The Dark Avengers.
Well, I don't know if that's what they're called, but there's like in the comics somewhere there's like an evil form of the Avengers or something, and it has like John Walker and like Yelena Belova and like other characters in it. So like people think she's trying to set that up in the MCU.
And they're kind of like foils to the real Avengers, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a less good Avengers. Like I don't know if like they're strictly evil, but like less good.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like with Walker that he would be an evil guy, at least based on the ending of Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Well, that's what I mean by like less good. Like he's not like directly evil. He's just like not as like heroic as like Steve Rogers, Captain America.
And also, is it implied that Steve Rogers is dead?
I feel like people that don't know what happened in that game in universe, like I feel like they just assume he's dead because like he just kind of like disappeared. But like ever since he went back to the 1940s, like no one ever like really mentioned him.
Yeah, and that whole moment in Endgame where Steve Rogers goes back in time and then like that older version of Steve Rogers appears, it doesn't make any sense. And you're already like setting up the whole idea of a multiverse where like there's infinite possibilities, this and that, but like, you know, Steve Rogers travels back in time to bring the Infinity Stones back to each of their respective timelines, but if there's an infinite like possibility, like if there are infinite possibilities, then really his actions are redundant. And then furthermore, why does the Elder Steve appear? Because you would have to then imply that changing the past changes the future. But like, but that doesn't make any sense. If Steve Rogers had chosen to stay in the timeline where he was with Peggy and he was dancing with her, then he shouldn't exist in the MCU timeline. That doesn't make any sense.
I think it's because the old Steve that showed up was like normal, like Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, but like he just lived out his life and then came back through time travel. He didn't like. It's not like another Steve from like the same universe.
No, but that's not exactly what I meant. But that old version of Steve Rogers is assumed to be the one who time traveled back to send the Infinity Stones back to their respective timelines. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that we saw that he chose to stay in Peggy's universe, right? Like he chose to stay.
Yeah, but he also had to come back to like give Sam the shield.
It's.
So
Yeah.
he probably like kept the time travel like suit and stuff.
Yeah, but how? Like, how does that make any sense? And like, why didn't he come back through like the portal that he used at first time travel in the first place? And if he had actually stayed in that timeline, then he shouldn't have been able to branch back into the timeline where he first like time traveled from. It should have diverged onto an alternate future.
I don't know.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
But like, I want to mention like what I did here for this kill. Like, I deliberately did like safe citizen missions earlier to get like the monks, so I could blend with them to like walk up onto the platform to get closer to him.
And they just choose to do that just because, even though it makes no sense.
Yeah, because that's how I always just do it.
Yeah, like I was wondering what the developers were expecting you to do for this sequence, because it's almost like you have to expose yourself. But yeah, that's smart. I didn't even realize the monks would even go up there. And Majadin, Majadin, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's actually he's reimagined in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like another villain kind of does something similar to Majadin, where he's introducing people to the spectators. Only we actually play the part of one of the spectators, and we actually get behind him and assassinate him, or we choose to air assassinate him, I believe. Yeah.
I mean, Valhalla is more open, so you have like a lot of different options, but like also it's Valhalla, so of course it like forces you into combat anyway, so like there's not really enough point.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But yeah, that was a very smart strategy on your part. But yeah, going back to like the Steve Rogers thing, like the Steve Rogers thing is something that really doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how that could possibly skip their minds. Like
I think like they said somewhere that like the shield they gave Sam was like technically a shield from a different universe.
How though? What from what universe? And like, why didn't we see Steve Rogers, like this version of Steve Rogers, come back through the portal that he used to time travel?
Well, when they time traveled earlier in the movie, they didn't show up through a portal. Like when they went back to New York, they didn't show up through a portal in New York. They just showed up on the ground.
Yeah, but when they went back to their respective timeline, they showed up through that portal that they used. That's what should have happened. Like, it's like he's wearing the suit. Like the same principle should have applied, where when when the characters are returning back to their respective universes, like after being like pulled back in, like they should come back through the portal. It's so odd, and I don't know how he just randomly appears on that bench. Almost as if, like, changing the past somehow changed the future. And even if that is, like, some normal version of Steve Rogers, like, if it is a normal version of Steve Rogers, he shouldn't be able to live that long. Like, remember the number of conditions he had in the first Captain America movie that stopped him from getting enlisted in the army? If he had that number of risks for certain diseases, then he shouldn't have been able to live that long. And what the hell happened to you here? You're stuck in the ground.
I don't know what. I got kicked in the balls and somehow the game stuck me on the ground.
That was weird. That was really weird.
I don't know what happened to the camera either.
Yeah, this game has some. Yeah, this game has some really weird physics to it. Yeah, and we currently have about like 7 minutes left in the video before we need to stop the recording. But yeah.
I
So
also
like,
don't know if like you noticed what I do every time I go into the mirror. Like I jump like over the hole so I can just fall down faster because it's like way faster than just climbing down.
no, I noticed that, and I think I also do the same as well, rather than just climbing down. It's hard to actually nail the jump because Altair likes to grab onto the ledges a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is pretty much like the end of sequence 4, and I think like it should end with a Desmond sequence, but we should have plenty of time to talk about other things. But like all the things I'm saying about the MCU right now and like the possibilities like after Endgame, you know, there's just a lot of confusion involved with it, and
like we have Eternals next week, and then the Hawkeye series on November 24th, and then we have Spider-Man in December.
like, remember how much like the people loved the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, and how they liked it more than Avengers Endgame's trailers? Like, I watched
people liked it more than the Endgame trailers.
Yeah, that's apparently like based on Watch Mojo actually listed it in their top 10. Like they said that
Watch
people.
Mojo's stupid, so I don't even like trust anything they say.
Yeah, but like, I can totally understand why, because it has stuff from the Sam Raimi universe with Doctor Octopus and Green Goblin, and then there's also talk about the Amazing Spider-Man universe being a part of this as well. So like they're taking all the universes from the previous cinematic universes, and they're putting it into one film, which is crazy.
People still think we're gonna get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans, but like Kevin Feige literally said, like, oh, don't get your hopes up for that because it probably won't happen.
They're coming for you.
But that's all. Like, why have I been seeing all these thumbnails of like leaked videos of?
Because people are making deep fakes and they want to like capitalize on the hype.
Oh, it's a deep fake. Okay, yeah, it's so hard to recognize deep fake videos. I don't know what you have to do to actually recognize that.
It's like Photoshop, After Effects stuff that I don't understand because I'm not that smart.
Yeah, that's literally crazy. That we've gone like they used deepfake technology in The Last Jedi when they had to put in Leia's face, because Leia had actually died, like the actress died during the.
I think what they did was like they used like footage from like The Force Awakens that they didn't use it in that movie and like repurposed it for The Last Jedi.
Oh, okay.
The other half is misinformation.
And they also did the same with Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used like de-aging stuff. They also did it for Alfred Molina in the No Way Home trailer.
For who?
For Alfred Molina, the guy who plays Doc Ock.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember. Like everyone was so.
Technology.
Yeah, everyone has just lost their minds with the Far From Home trailer with that guy returning. And I'm not even sure how he returns, because he's supposed to be dead in Spider-Man 2. And so was same with Green
He
Goblin.
said something about like he like wakes up in like the Hudson River, which is where like his like experiment was in Spider-Man 2. So like he like somehow transfers universe.
But then how does Green Goblin live?
I don't know.
Because Green
Watch
Goblin
the
was
movie.
because Green Goblin was impaled by his own glider when he tried to kill Spider-Man.
I don't know.
Huh.
We're gonna have to watch the movie in December. I don't know.
What's next? Are they gonna bring in Sandman and Venom from that hated Spider-Man 3?
Technically, they already did bring in Venom.
Yeah, true. From in those movies.
Because like the post-credit scene for Venom: Let There Be Carnage literally had to like transfer universe, and they literally showed Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Oh wait, I thought that movie. I didn't realize it released now.
Yeah, it's been out since like I don't know, like earlier this month or like September.
Yeah, I thought we were still waiting on it.
No.
Okay.
I didn't watch it because I didn't care, because I knew it was gonna be a bad movie, and because I saw the first one, it was bad, so I just spoiled myself on it because I didn't care.
The only thing that the first Venom movie was really good for was all those like was all those silly moments with Eddie saying certain dialogue and then with Venom doing like silliness.
The final fight in Venom was literally like impossible to tell what was going on.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So we have like roughly 2 minutes left, but I imagine we can just say some final words. But this is pretty much the end of sequence 4,
this
and
is the longest sequence, so the videos are gonna be shorter from now on.
yeah, and we might have to do some more like creative editing, or maybe like Pcol has to speed up the videos even more. Like I don't know if he's using like double speed for some of those sequences where he's exploring the cities.
I think I'm doing like 200 speed or something.
That's 200 speed.
Yeah.
That cannot be 200 speed. You use like 8 times speed. Like you use like 8 times speed on the PS5 or the PS4, and it's way faster than that.
I'll have to go into Premiere and check.
Yeah,
It might honestly be like 400 or something. I don't know.
yeah, that does not feel like 200% speed. Like PlayStation render speed, that way faster than that at 8 times speed. Like if you've seen some of my videos, it's way faster
Well,
than
like
what was
Adobe
shown.
Premiere also like does speed differently because you can actually like select like whatever speed you want, and you're not just like locked into like 2 times or 4 times or 8 times.
Yeah, that is actually pretty cool. You know, like that it's a continuous variable rather than like a scale variable, basically.
Yeah, and this is just like email stuff that
Yeah.
like is lore.
Yeah, we haven't really been talking much about the lore because we've been so like sidetracked by all these other
We literally
discussions.
talked about MCU this entire video.
Pretty much, because there's so much to talk about it. You know, like we said, we are former Assassin's Creed fans. You know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we also got like Doctor Strange like next year, and like
Oh yeah,
Black
Doctor
Panther 2
Strange,
at some point.
Black Panther 2.
They're literally making Black Panther 2.
Wow. So how are they gonna fill in the role of Black Panther then?
I think they had to like completely like rewrite the movie.
Oh, that sucks. But this is the end of this video. We will be continuing more of these interesting tangents in the later videos.
There's like 2 targets left in the next sequence, and I think like 2 in the last parts.
Yeah, and then we kill Robert and then the other ones, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah, so that is the end of this video. So, yeah, thank you all for watching.
And we're gonna do life stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd probably be like another 2 months before we get back to this video.
Yeah.